Oh, that's me not forgetting to put off the overlay. I finally made a mistake for
Hi.
so long. I never make that mistake. I made that mistake. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour, a show brought to you by the ServiceNow Developer Program. It's a little bit of a different show. All of our audience that knows how this works. It's Friday. It's the end of our work week. We're trying to unwind. We're trying to kick up our feet, relax. It's been a long work week. We're going to drink, we're going to build something new. And this is all about avoiding the well polished demo. And we're just building. We're trying to show the real development process with the errors, the debugging, and all of that. We are in the middle of our Vancouver release. So over Pranav's left shoulder, you'll see that little logo. Yeah, if you ever see that logo on our videos, that means we're in a season of content. And right now, that's the Vancouver season, which is now officially in general availability. So, woo, Vancouver. But if you are interested in knowing what else we're talking about for Vancouver, make sure to check out our content calendar. You go to devlink.sn/Vancouver, and you'll see all the different things that we're working on for this entire season. You'll see blogs, podcasts, live streams, videos, basically everything that we want to be showing off to you about Vancouver. A little bit more explanation for what we do before we jump into that content, but this is Live Coding Happy Hour. And so before we jump in, we like to explain that we are drinking during this. Sometimes people don't drink on it, and that's okay. We have someone that's Pranav's tuning in from India right now, which is exactly midnight right now. So if he's not drinking, that's kind of understandable. But to introduce my drink, I am drinking a Hemley apple cider from California. So that's what I'm hard apple cider. Pranav, what are you drinking?
So I'm not well, so I have some hot water with me, so I'll be drinking that. And it's like, as Earl mentioned, it's like 12 in the night for me, so it's better I don't drink anything before I sleep. So what you are drinking, Loic?
I'm still at coffee too, so I'm just having a big cup of coffee there.
So I'm the only one drinking, and it's not even noon for me. So that's I feel weird now. Anyways, okay. So now that we introduced our drinks and what everyone's drinking, let's do some introductions. We skipped introductions. I'm off my game. Hi everyone, I'm Earl Duque. I am one of the developer advocates here at ServiceNow. Been with the company for about 2 years. Been with the platform about 6 years, mostly in higher ed. Part of the developer program. If you're new to this, we do content, community engagement, technical evangelism, experience building, all that kind of stuff. Anything that makes your life easier as a developer. And if ServiceNow ever has a question about what the developers are thinking about, we either bring you all in to the table, or we try to represent you on that side. So we don't actually really explain what developer advocates do very often. So I thought that'd be a good time to do it. Pranav, did you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Pranav, and I'm also a senior developer advocate here at ServiceNow. And whatever Earl mentioned, I do the same also, except I was working with a customer prior to joining ServiceNow. So that's pretty much about me, and passing it to Loic.
Hey everybody, I'm Loic. I'm an outbound PM, mainly for document intelligence, but also covering some of our other platform AI product. And I've been with ServiceNow 2 years as a PM and 2 years as an implementer. And I've always loved the content that our developer advocates put out there. It's been very helpful for me and for a lot of customers.
A live coding happy hour veteran. Thank you for rejoining us. We always like seeing our different people across the company rejoin us, because that means we're building community, we're building a rapport. People get used to seeing certain people, and then it's easy for them to know who to direct questions to, which is great. Okay, so now that we've introduced ourselves and our drinks, before we get into it, I would love for Loic, if you can, to catch us up on exactly what document classification, document intelligence, all that kind of stuff. Catch us up to what that is before we jump into Pranav's trying to build something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think today we're going to talk mainly about one of our main enhancements for Vancouver on document intelligence, and that's document classifier. So we've done a few sessions previously on document extraction, which was a powerful way to use AI to extract values from documents directly on the Now platform, so we can use the values to power workflows, update tables and things like that. And in Vancouver, we are using this new feature called Document Classifier, and it's essentially using AI to categorize incoming documents. Because another part of document workflows is that there's a lot of effort that goes into identifying what document is what. So if I get a set of documents, I have to open them, look at them, and then manually categorize them. And that's what we're addressing with document classifier. We're going to see very similar to extraction in the sense that I can build through the interface. I can train my model and start classifying my documents, and then I'm training an AI model to do that. But a few examples would be defining different categories for documents. So for example, if I have a survey, a certificate, and a contract, and I'm able to feed that to the tool, and it's going to be able to recognize that and then direct that to the right workflow or to the right person to fulfill the request and such. So very powerful addition to our set of document AI capabilities.
Nice. Cool. Thank you for the summary and catching us up. All right. So now that we're all caught up, Pranav, what are we building today?
All right. So thanks, Loic, for telling us what exactly classification is doing. So I thought of like creating a kind of a fun use case. We have all, at least I have in my childhood, played with Pokemon cards and also like Dragon Ball Z cards and all these card games and all. Especially the WWE cards were really popular in India. So I thought like, why not I just combine this thing with our document classification? So I have bunch of cards with me. I have taken some screenshots from Google and all, Pokemon cards, WWE, as well as Dragon Ball Z cards. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to put this into our classifier and train it, and then I'll see whether the our machine learning will be able to discover, like classify each card or not. So that's kind of a use case, and definitely we invite Loic always so that he can help me out while I'm building. Because if you have watched the last stream about document classification and sorry, document extraction, so Loic was like, okay, go here and all. So he always helps me out. So yeah, going to my screen now. Let's start building this thing. It will be kind of a similar experience. So let me share my screen. I hope you are able to see my screen, right?
Yep, I can see it. Zoom in.
Yep. Zoom in. All right. So first thing is like we'll go into our document intelligence product, and you can see like now if you have played with document extraction before, so you might be familiar with this document extraction, the admin experience and everything. But now you can see a new kind of a new like modules in our application, that is document classification, that's there. So what we have to do is like, as always, we have to create a use case and all. So let me go ahead and create a use case. So and once we create a use case, we'll provide it with certain kind of data like the Pokemon cards or all these things. I'm going to provide it, and then we're going to see whether it's like whether it's able to classify certain things. So firstly we're going to click on new, and I'm going to put live coding happy hour as a title, and just document classification, and let me submit it. So once I submit this thing, and let me open this thing up now, what we have to do is like we have to create categories. Because we have right now, I have three types of category. I have the Pokemon cards, I have the WWE cards, I also have a Dragon Ball Z cards. So I'm going to go into these field section, and I think like this might be confusing for the developers who are watching us, why we are creating certain fields. So maybe in future release we might rename this thing up, but it's more of like category. So I can say just Pokemon category, and I'll just say live coding happy hour. I'm just giving some names, and I'm just creating three categories as of now. So let's go and create, and I done with the two category, and let's move into the last category.
I guess I'm
That's
old enough that it was mainly it was still WWF when I was a child.
yes, and I was also watching WWF only. Like it was like back in 2000, it was WWF. Then it moved into WWE or some. Yeah, that's there. I hope it's WWE now. I haven't watched anything
I think it is.
recently. Yep. All right. So now, so we have created these three categories right now: Pokemon, WWE, and all. Now it's more of like creating document task. So document task is something like we are providing some data to our model so that it can train. So let's go ahead and create first entry. So I'm gonna say Pokemon. On cards. That's gonna import. And now what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna attach some Pokemon cards. Let me go into my training data, and you can see that I have all these cards with me,
Yep,
right?
that looks
So,
like Pokemon cards.
and I'm gonna just upload this thing. So it's like I think it might take a minute or two to upload because it's like a 10 MB file. But similar kind of process we're gonna perform for WWE cards as well as we're gonna perform the same kind of setup for our Dragon Ball Z cards. And then once we have these things, then we're gonna train these cards and all from our ML model. I'm gonna show you how the training happens and all. So let's give it a minute for to put it in. So till the time it's uploading, I think if I can open a new tab and start creating multiple entries, I can. I don't know whether I can do it or not, but I can try. So it's like I'm trying to do multitasking side by side. Maybe I can remove this all. I hope it doesn't crash. Let's let me do another one.
You got to do the regular window and incognito trick,
Oh yeah, I should have
because
opened it up, but
if it's synchronous, then it's gonna just infinite load for you.
yeah, that's there. I can do. I can still do that maybe. Let
Or we
me
can just reminisce about days gone and having the time of playing Pokemon cards and collecting.
yeah.
Oh, there, it's done. Okay, I'll shut up.
It's done now. We have two more tasks that we have to create, so that's there. Till once we submit this thing up, let it submit, and you can see there is a kind of a new entry that got created with all the attachment that's there. And similar thing like now what I can do is like I can just open this thing up, and now for the first time, because the machine learning doesn't know what type of card it is, right? So I have to go ahead and classify these cards first time manually so that we are telling our ML model that these are the Pokemon cards. So I'm going to do Pokemon. All of them are Pokemon cards. And I, I don't know like how many of you have collected these cards in the past, but I have done that. I have spent a lot of money on these cards, but yeah, I don't regret it. To be honest.
Oh, these are pretty high quality images.
Yeah, these are like I just got it from their official website. For all these things, let me just yeah, we have to maybe we can just do Pokemon cards. I'm just zooming it a bit. I know it's like so maybe this is something like we can't scroll in it if it's we are zoomed in. We have to zoom out. So that's
Is that
there.
is that true? You can't scroll down?
Yeah, I'm unable to scroll down. That's what I realized just now while playing with it. So I had to zoom out like the window, and that's kind of like tricky. Yeah, you can see that. All right. So where is it gone? All right, let me reset it. And now I'm going to submit it up. Once I do the submission, you can see that the status will change to done, and this thing will be populated with Pokemon category. So I'm
Make sure
gonna,
to rezoom back in.
yep. Thank you all. All right, so let's let it save. It takes a minute or two. I don't like. Bit running slow today for me, but yeah, that's
That's per
there.
tradition for live coding happy hour.
Yep, exactly. And coming back to like what I was saying, I've spent a lot of money on Pokemon cards like in the past. At one point, I was like, what I'm doing, but I didn't stop. I still spent a lot. Then my parents were like, why you are buying all these stuff? So yeah,
It's like
that's
I feel
kind of
like
a
it's tradition for live coding happy hour that every developer advocate eventually build an app based off of something they've collected. Because I've definitely done the same for board games. I think Brad might
hmm.
have done the same too. And now you're doing Pokemon cards, which is on it's tradition at this point, so it's okay. This is
Oh,
our
gotcha.
guilty pleasure collections.
Yeah, and I think like I was a really big fan, like because I was, I think, 5 year old when Pokemon was released, and it was just super exciting. And like after a few years, there was another show that came up, like it was like Beyblade or something. So it was like we had to collect all these things. So we went out like bought those Beyblades and everything. So yeah, that was fun time. And now let's go here. Okay, I think I have created two use cases already. Let me just I'll open the document
What
classification
was that
again.
warning?
So warning was like it was because when we opened it in the doc intel only, so doc intel haven't found like it's still running the ML model in the backend to do the extraction thing. That's why that warning came up. So for the first time we can ignore it. Oh, so I think like it doesn't like more than 10 attachments. So it got failed. So I think we have to create another one. I think what I'm going to do is like I'm going to put www cards 2. I'm being creative with the names today. So I'm just going to put like one less. And Loic, like I would like to ask you why there is a kind of a limit for per document task to 10 or something, because I uploaded 11 and it throwed an error that we can't do more than 10 or something.
Yeah, I
Is
was
there
gonna say
any
I've never seen that error, and I'm
Mhm.
wondering if it's something on the platform side. I don't know if there is a system property that maybe controls the number of attachment on a regular task, but it's not
Hmm.
something I've seen, and I don't think it's coming from our product. So something maybe on the platform.
Gotcha. So it says like maximum number of attachment on a task exceeded. So maybe you're right. There might be a property on that. So, but yeah, I just reduced one image and last one we're gonna do DB red cards. So I'm just uploading right now all the files, just providing it with the data, and I have this DBZ cards also. So I'm just putting all these things.
I think I spoke too soon. I think I found the property, and I think it is on the doc intel side.
Whoops.
But it looks like an easy system property to change if needed.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I've already done that. We only have 3 use cases, so that's fine. So
And
yeah, so go
and
ahead.
this is just for classification, right? So it's not like you need to have a million examples. So that's probably like defaulting to 10 may be your the product telling us like don't worry so much about providing too many examples.
Yeah, I think like Earl, you're right about it. Maybe because what it is trying to do is like I think there is a I was reading some documentation. We need to provide at least 50 entries, like 50 docs or something, so that it can predict well.
Hmm.
It's more of like per task we can upload only 10. But that's kind of a limitation. Maybe like once I go ahead and train these things, that error will come up. So because I had a trained model for everyone if this model doesn't work, because I wanted to show you guys that yeah, we can classify these things. So now let's open the like we're gonna do the show in doc intel. This is the error that Earl you were talking about. It's more of like document intelligence is trying to go ahead and open the like trying to extract data from it. So it's running some manual stuff in the backend. So that's why it's running the ML model just to extract the data. Right now we are doing classification, so we can ignore it. So we can just put wwe, all these things, and I'll zoom again because we can't scroll.
Zoom out.
Oh, let's see, like
Uh,
this
Um,
reminds me of playing with the universal recorder in RPA. It moves like this.
look, do you know why there's no scroll?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's a UI bug. It was fixed in the version that was released 2 days ago, but it was a little bug.
Oh, I didn't update it to the latest release. So yeah, folks, make sure you have the latest one. Otherwise, that's don't make the same mistake that I did. So, all right, folks. So this is something that we have
Keep going.
done.
Keep
So,
going. Keep going. Keep zooming.
all right. So the status is done, and the field is set to WWE Live Coding Happy Hour. I don't know, like why I added that live coding happy hour, but yeah, that's fine. So now, last thing that's left is because you can see if I refresh it. So we have two which are in status of done. We have the last one that's a DBZ card. So let's do it for that also. And I can say Sergeant, I can do DBZ. So all of these are Dragon Ball Z cards.
Mark is asking if it's 2 days ago. Was that? Do you mean GA, or is
No,
that?
it's actually a store app. So it's a plugin, and we release a bit more often than the
That's
actual
right.
family release. So it's version 3.1 that was released on the 20th, along with Vancouver GA. But in that case, it's just the store app.
All right. Thanks, Loic, for telling me. Yeah, I saw that there was a release on 21st September, right? And yeah, I didn't updated it because I was like, yeah, I'll update it later, and I saw this bug. So yeah, it's fixed for people who will try. Make sure you have the which version it was like, Loic. I think 3.1, right? That's
Yes,
that's the one, right?
3.1.
All right, perfect. So you can see now I have all the three document tasks updated. Now what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna click on train use case. So once I click on train use case, it's gonna take all these three, the WWE, DBZ, and Pokemon cards, and try to run a ML model. You can see, right? I'll zoom it a bit again. So you can see the limit is 50. Like it's saying that if you want more accurate result, you should use like almost 50 documents and all. So I just had 10, so the result might fluctuate, but we can see like if it is able to classify, at least I'm expecting at least 40% it will be able to based on the ML model. And now, like for people like like who wants to know what's going on, what's the progress of the model, so you can go to ML underscore solution dot list, this table, ML solution table. You can see that this is the new model that's been created and it's training. You click on the show training progress. Once you are here, you will be able to see the model is running. So I think it takes like 2 3 minutes, and because if we only have like 25 or 26 screenshots, so it might take like even like 2 3 minutes, that's all. So once this is done, then what we're going to do is like we have some like images that I didn't use for training, so we're going to put those things in a document task again and try to like see if our doc it's whether it's able to classify it or not. So that's there. So yeah, let me just we're going to wait for a minute, and what I'm going to do is like I'll just side by side create some document task to save time because uploading takes a while.
I know
And
live coding happy hour is supposed to be like the real dev process, and Pranav is trying to multitask to not wait for loading bars. But I wonder how people would feel if like we did true real dev process, and anytime there's a loading bar, I just like look to my other monitor and just go through messages and wait and put on a show or catch up on a like at a football match or something.
yep, test it. That's what I'm trying to do. I won't save it. I'll just upload it, certain things. So we have the training data, and these are the like data that I didn't use, right? So two of each. Let me upload it. And till the time I'm gonna go back and yeah, we have the progress.
Okay, so
Go back.
those weren't part of your model training.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna just refresh it. Okay. So I think it's kind of run attaching it, so the other screen won't load. So that's fine. But yeah, we have set it. Maybe like we're gonna wait for a couple of more minutes. Until the time I'd like to ask the crowd like who are watching us live, or if you're watching like if you're watching after the live show, how many of you have collected the cards? And if you are okay sharing how much money you have spent, if you remember. So that's a thing. And yep, let's give it a give it a minute because yeah, it's uploaded. Cool. So this is uploaded and I can click on the training bar again. And I should have opened two windows, like one in like the private window and the one. So I think yeah. So basically you can see that it took like just 2 minutes to train, and our training is done. Let me just I'm gonna go back to ML
Actually, we had a
Solutions.
question from Jace. Maybe you can
Hmm.
either of you can answer it. Jace is asking. I know. Well, before Doc and Tell was based off of our own data center training models. Is the document classification utilizing generative AI at all, or is it still based off of our data center Doc and Tell models?
So I think Loic, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure.
I
But this is not using. It's not using Gen AI in any shape or form. It's not
That's
using
what I
a
thought.
controller. It's not using an open AI API. It's not using the now LLM. It's just using very advanced machine learning model, but it's not considered generative AI.
Yeah, it's our own model. It's our own machine learning AIs that we've been. That's part of Doc and Tell, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
cool. So
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 to answer your question, Jace, you were way off base there. Just kidding with Chase.
all right. So I think like what I so this is the files. These are the untrained images that I have uploaded. And what I'm now I have clicked on the process task. Like this is similar to how basically we are just processing it. And again, like based on the ML solution that we just trained, now it is using it and trying to find like the classes and all. So we're gonna wait for this particular training to happen. I think it might take less than 1 minute. Yeah, it's all done. So if I click on now, show in doc intel, and you can see let the card load now, and we're gonna see each and every card to just to see whether it was able to classify all these things. Yeah, from the name, I know it's a Dragon Ball Z card, and so yeah, let it load up. It takes I think 2-3 minutes to.
It just out of curiosity, what's the size of each file that you have there?
So this size of each file is around 2 MB.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
it's
But I was like,
not a
just 40 megapixels.
Yeah, right.
Fine. Each
yeah.
file is only 2 terabytes. It's okay.
All right, so this is there, and so this is again a drag. I like I don't know like
That's
this
hilarious. Like,
this
because that was my first reaction too, right? When you showed the images, like, oh wow, that's very high quality. It looks like, oh, that's why it's loading slowly.
and it's like there. I think there is some bugs in the UI. That's for sure, because when I click on it, it just click goes to the next one. But we are interested more of like in okay, in the first one. So that's there. It's like Goku's image. So it should be Dragon Ball Z. So you can see that it's coming as 52% based on just like 7 or 8 images that I uploaded. It's able to say like, okay, it's 100% EBZ. Like the second one is like the Moltres. That's a Pokemon. So you can see that it's saying 45%. It's a Pokemon card. And Onyx is like again a Pokemon card. So it's again saying 46%. So so the good thing about that I liked about this thing is like it's able to classify these things like if you just provide like 5-10 images, so it's almost like score is plus 40. Yeah, for WWE cards it's like 37%. Yeah. And lastly we have like 60% for WWE cards. So yeah, maybe like they know John Cena more. So so the
Do,
John Cena
do,
card
do,
had that.
do.
And I think we have to zoom out, and we have the last one that's again a Dragon Ball Z card. So let's see, it's able to say it's 51%. So
Do we,
that's
can I ask do we know what how it's working under the hood for this? Like is it interpreting the entire image together, or is it looking for like only the words? Is it considering layout of words and stuff like that? What's exactly going into helping it figure out which is which?
so I think like Loic, you have to take this thing. I had kind of like I did some experiment, but I'll share later. Like you can.
Yeah, so it's using a little bit of both. It's using a little bit of the layout, like shape and yeah, kind of layout of the image, and then it's also extracting whatever text is possible to extract and using that as well, kind of combining both the text and layout aspect of it to generate the prediction.
Okay, interesting.
And that's something like I also played around with it, right? So you might have seen a trained model that I had. So if I had something like a different color card, for example, like for the Pokemon one, I uploaded like almost the background is similar, but if it was like a blue background or a background change, so this score was reduced. It was like coming around 40 or 37 like that. So it takes like the color, the background and everything based on like my playing around with it. All right. So that's there. And I think it's able to like based on the results we are able to see all these things. So one thing I would like to try is more of like I would like to ask you, is it possible like if we can just auto set this thing up rather than doing manually? So I have couple of more cards that I can utilize. And maybe like is it something like can we, if I click on this enable straight through processing, so it will set the field automatically, it will categorize automatically? Is it how it works?
Yeah, yeah, that would work.
All right,
So
so let
do
me
you
just.
remember it's like extraction for
Mhm.
autofill? You would still have to open the UI, but the value would be there as autofill. And then if you wanted to, if it was good enough to not have to do the validation, that's full automation, aka straight through processing. And that
Mm.
if that when that model is trained enough, then you don't even have to do validation. So that's the same as the extraction.
Gotcha. So do I need to set any kind of auto fill threshold or fully automate threshold? Because like I'm not sure how to, because we are just getting like plus 40%. Let's test it whether it will be able to do that. So I have like I can just go ahead and click on new and test two.
Wait, did you set up something? I missed if you did.
No, I didn't set up anything. I just went ahead and enabled that
Oh,
enable
sorry.
straight through processing. That's it.
But the
And
threshold is 1, so
mhm,
it's 100% accuracy, so confidence level, so that it won't trigger. But if you put something like 40, oh, point 0.4,
point 0.4, I'll put
if
point
or
0.3.
0.3, if it's 30% confident, it would bypass manual validation.
Yeah, I think you like 0.4 probably is okay because I think a lot of the ones you had earlier was enough.
Yeah,
Like a lot of
let's
your correct ones were like 50%, 40%. I think 0.4 will be fine.
point 0.4 I've added. And like what is this autofill threshold? I'm not sure about it. Maybe it's like due in the document, the admin one, this particular experience, it should fill automatically here.
Yes. So
So
if you look at that example, if your autofill threshold is 40%, and
mhm,
you enable autofill, when you open the UI, that first value that was 45% would be selected and pre-populated in your field. That's the threshold here.
gotcha. So I think let me just click on new button. and probably I'm gonna, because I didn't process the old data, so I'm gonna use the same thing, and I'm just putting one of each.
We could do one at a time, actually.
So that we don't have to wait for your 7 hard drives of pictures to load.
Yeah, I think I've already started it. So I just put 3. So it's like 6 MB. Like, if maybe in any second it will be done. I hope. Maybe in 10 seconds or like 15 maybe. Yeah, done. So yeah, that's there. And there's 2. And now if I do something like process task, it should automatically like classify those things. And and just to clarify certain things to our audience, so right now the new data that I'm putting up here, so that won't be considered like into your the solution that you have already trained until unless you train it again, right? So the new data, the test 1 and test 2 that I had, so that is something like this data won't be considered in your solution model until unless you just click on the train button. So that's an FYI for you guys. So I
Which makes
think,
sense because that's a data center process.
yes, and saying that it's processed, okay, and
Ta-da!
I ha- and I have to click on document tell, show doc intel, and let's see if it is able to correctly classify. So yeah, the first image is Goku one, so it is able to categorize that DBZ Goku automatically. The second one is the Pokemon one, and the third one is for it's a WWE one. Yeah, don't worry about this image. There is kind of a bug in the UI, so it's loading up. Yeah, that's there. Yeah, coming up. So yeah, I think so. That's pretty much it that I wanted to show in the demo. And I'll also put this kind of all these cards in a Google Drive for you folks if you want to try it. I don't know whether it's not available on PDI, but if you have any kind of a demo instance or something, if you want to play around, you can definitely play around. I can share all these things up. So I'm gonna go back to, oh,
Ooh. Okay, so
all right. Mhm.
I mean, this is all about the classification of documents, right? So after that, you would also train models for the actual interpreting the content within each document. But the important, let's talk about use cases of why it's what would document classification would lend into. Like, what is there? What's the use
Yeah.
case on the top of your head?
So I think the invoices, like if you talk about the actual business use cases, it's used for invoices. Like if you have invoice something or you have certificates and all, if you like, for example, Loic was showing me the other day, like you have all these certificates that you get from maybe Now Learning or other places, whatever the certificate you do. If you upload this thing as a task, it can automatically detect, okay, this is a certificate, this is an invoice, and then it's easy so that there is no manual intervention that's there. And Loic, probably you can add onto it, like what are other things that other types of use case that we can utilize a document classification.
No, I think that's pretty good. I think broadly there are mainly 2 categories of use cases. One would be when we had to classify a large amount of data because they came in like an unstructured way. Like we get a lot of certificates and invoices, and they need to be dispatched to different teams. That could be used like that. It could also, as you alluded to, it could be used to feed to one of the extraction models. So if we have a model that's able to extract invoice, it might be different than our model that can extract purchase order. And so we want to be able to classify the file before feeding it to a model. And then I'd say maybe like the third example is when we have documents that have the same use case but very different layout or template. An example of that is sometimes invoices. There might be uh, cases where you have a specific model for a specific type of invoice. In that case, you can also classify different invoices based on their layout. and then feed that to different models because that's how you get the best performance.
That's interesting. That one of the other things you mentioned in there. This is actually Deepak asked like, oh, the simple task of classifying unwanted images like an email signature, which comes as an attachment in email. So I could think of the use case of, hey, if you have, when you want to do this process, submit us your invoice and your purchase order and this and a third document. And document classification, you can put all those attachments in one spot, and then it will classify them, and then you can run different processes based off of those documentations. But also, if it doesn't notice what that document classification is, it just doesn't go out. So that would automatically exclude things like email signatures or social media icons and stuff like that, because that's not that's not going to hit any classification. Or you can make it classify it as unnecessary things that don't process, basically. So good question. And I mean, there's other ways to also address in the platform how to get rid of those kind of things via size, image size, or different ways to do that kind of thing. But technically speaking, yes, document classification could probably handle that too. We would probably say like there's lower non-data center things to do to be able to do that. But hey, automate everything, I guess.
And I was reading on like some of the documentation about document classification and all. So, like for example, I had these different types of card. So each particular category can trigger a different workflow or a flow. Like that can be attached to a particular invoice. For example, if it's an invoice, you can trigger a kind of a create a ticket or something for invoice related, or trigger a particular flow around it. So that's kind of power it is. Maybe that's a use case for the next time. I can just try to run some workflows around it, or see how it works. I always say workflows, so I'm not saying workflow. It's more of a flows. So keep in mind of that.
I mean, we're talking about Pokemon cards and Dragon Ball Z. Might as well talk about workflow and throw it back to everything back then.
Yes. All right. So
Nobody in the chat was talking about their collections or anything like that, and we briefly talked about it. Loic, did you want to share about anything that you might have collected in your time, or as a kid, or even now?
It was mainly Dragon Ball Z card. I grew up in France. In France, it was, I don't know why, it was mainly Dragon Ball Z, and then Yu-Gi-Oh or something like that. Fun story. My dad at work had like a printer that was able to oversize something. So I got like a small Goku card and made it like big, put that in a plastic wrap, and everybody at school thought I had a super rare card. So
That's awesome. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's so. I said this in chat, but I only collected Pokemon cards when I was younger. But then when I got out of it and went on with my life, I still kept all my binders of them and left them and kept them at home, because I was like, oh, maybe one day they'll be worth something, or I can give them to my kids or something. Way back then. Then I went to college, and then I found out one time when I came home that my mom had given them all away, and I was like, oh, my childhood, it's all gone. And so whoever ended up with all my Pokemon cards out there, I hope they brought you joy and happiness. Which is funny
Yep.
because all of my nephews now, like entertainment, it seems cyclical, because like the things I was having fun with in like high school and college and stuff like that is all the same things that all my nephews are into now, like Pokemon, Star Wars, Minecraft. Like they're all playing the same things that I was playing back then too. So it's kind of like, hold on to your stuff. You never know who. And Dragon Ball Z is like timeless. Everyone still likes Dragon Ball Z. I just finished Dragon Ball Super, so it's like, okay, just
Yeah,
nostalgia.
I thought of wearing a Dragon Ball Z T-shirt for this show, but I thought like let me wear the unicorn one. And I think like it's like my funny story. Like when I was a kid, I was collecting WWE cards also, and I think they released only 150 cards in India. I had 148, so I spent like maybe like almost $1,000 to get last two cards. That's how much I spent, and my now I see those cards, I'm like, what I'm gonna do with these cards? I spent so much on this. Maybe 1,000 might be a lot, but maybe 800 at least. That's how much I spent just to get last two cards in the collection.
No shame.
Yeah.
Whatever. No shame. Don't worry about it. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, I was talking about board games earlier. I have like almost 200 board games, and a lot of them, if you think of them as like $40 to $50 each, you can make your own calculations in your head from there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
We also collect Steam games also now. I don't
that's
want
right.
to.
We
Yeah.
found out recently that a number of us in the community team, there's like 3 or 4 of us that have hundreds of Steam video games, and our libraries are just I thought I had the largest library out of everybody I knew, but our community team leader has like double the amount I have, and I was blown away. I was like, "What?" And then we realized he also worked for a gaming company before, and developers would give him games, so that made sense. But still, hey, if any of you play video games out there, contact me and Pranav. We probably would be interested about chatting about it.
Yeah. I have like 100 as of now in my Steam, and that's not even close to what Earl and Mark has. So maybe I'm playing the small leagues as of now.
Yeah, I feel bad for calling out Mark on this, but yeah, I have. I just looked at my profile. I have more than 800. So it's a 18-year-old account. So yeah, it's overtime. And a lot of it was like bundles, okay. Don't shame me.
All right.
Just kidding. Cool.
Yep. I
We had Harney is talking about more use cases. So like he's mentioning, hey, well, in HR, you can segregate documents as personal, experience, pay slips, tax, basically anything that might be dumped into a single like upload. There's a great opportunity to divvy them up for the different processes. And why you would want to divvy them up before you get to like another doc and tell process or different flows is because building you want things to be reusable and you don't want to overcomplicate your processes. And so if you're building another model that is trying to not just determine fields but fields for different types of documents all in one model, or a flow that has 9 if statements first just to determine what the document is, you still have to figure out how do you get them to determine which document that is. So you always want to like separate your processes, and then document classification is going to help you get to the point where you're taking away that manual step of making sure your user is putting it in the right spot, which users never put things in the right spot, at least in my experience, or having someone sitting there putting them all in the right spot afterwards. So that solves that, and that's good. With the same, you get to determine the confidence levels, you get to determine how manual versus automatic that process is. You get to choose, are you proactive about classification and doing it manually, or are you reactive? And if it gets sorted in a different place, then you get to move it and you get to retrain it. So giving you the tools to figure all those things out is always a benefit for admins and people that are getting these processes done, both on the end user side and for the agent side. So that's why these tools are so amazing to see, because it makes jobs easier. Cool. And that being said, we're approaching the end of the show. Let's do announcements and then we'll talk about our drinks. So we are still in the middle of Vancouver. Like I said, if you are interested in seeing what we're doing, go to devlink.sn/Vancouver. Next week is a bunch of different things. On this channel, you'll be seeing multiple streams about Hacktoberfest, which starts in October. If you don't know what Hacktoberfest is, I genuinely encourage you to go check out. I had a link for that. devlink.sn/Hacktoberfest to know more about it. We'll have a live stream for next experience Hacktoberfest on Thursday, and then general Hacktoberfest on Friday next week. We have some fun stuff coming out next week about it. You'll see these things popping up. Here's our the Hacktoberfest logo. Here is the crew that will be working on it in the background. So we have a lot of fun stuff coming out and engagement materials. Check that out. Pranav and Loic, do you have any announcements or anything you want to share? I know you have a link actually, Loic, that you wanted to talk about. So go ahead and plug that too.
Just mentioning the usual that we run the AI academies and more broadly platform academies. It's a content for the community, and it's very helpful. So I recommend everybody checking that out.
And that's at
And
sn.works/AI Academy.
And I'd like to plug in folks like Build with RPA challenge is going on. So make sure you go ahead and conquer the Build with RPA challenge. Sorry about my voice, it's a bit low. I've been speaking and for 30 minutes, more than 30 minutes. So yeah, go ahead and check out Build with RPA.
Yep, devlink.sn/buildwithrpa. It's a contest going on right now. Get it, the shirt that Pranav's wearing. You can win. You can earn that shirt. So go check it out. All right, so that's announcements. Let's talk about our drinks. We usually, if you're new to this, we usually grade these from a scale from 1 to 5 in increments of 0.25. If we were successful, which I think we are, usually bump it up a 0.25 just because that means our drinks helped us in some way. Maybe, who cares? I was drinking the Hemley apple cider. It's actually very tasty. I would probably give this a solid 4.
Yeah, coming to me, I was supposed to drink my hot water, but I didn't got time to drink it. So yeah, I'll still give it 5. Coming back to Loic.
I did finish my coffee. It was pretty good. Still 4.5.
Nice. Okay. If you have any questions, you can find us on LinkedIn or message Pranav or myself to get in touch with any of the people that you see on our shows, and then we'll send you the right way. If you have any questions specifically about document classification, you can always come back to this video, jump in the comments, and we try to answer questions as we see them or send them off to the right person. Otherwise, just contact us directly. We're easy to find, and then we'll send you on the right way. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend. Happy Friday. I'm going to stop drinking it because it's only noon, so I'm not going to finish my drink anymore. But thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.